Hello and welcome to this series of product demonstration videos for Visualfiles. In this session, I will be talking about a new utility providing obfuscation of data for non-production Visualfiles systems. So why have we created this utility? We recognize the very common practice of copying live production databases into other environments such as test, development and training. Whilst this has never been recommended practice, it does give, very easily, representative systems for the purposes of development, testing and training. However, with the forthcoming GDPR regulations, this practice should be looked at closely. There are very good reasons why you may want to obfuscate data after copying production systems. Secondary environments could contain data not for its intended purpose and may be in breach of data protection regulation. Security and access to data in secondary environments may not be as stringent as primary environments. And executing workflows on copies of live data could result in documents, emails and other communications being automatically sent to real clients and contacts. It could also result in updating of third-party systems. The utility provides 4 commonly used methods of obfuscation. Fixed value. This allows a hard-coded string to be assigned to any number of Visualfiles data fields. For example, you may wish to replace all email addresses in your Visualfiles system with one single fixed safe email address. This means should a workflow automatically send an email, it will be sent to your safe email address rather than a real contact. Mask. You can choose to mask all or part of a Visualfiles data field with a character of your choice. You may recognize this method on till receipts, where credit card details would have part of its number masked by an asterisk or X. Null. This is a simple option to blank out existing data. And substitute. This final option allows existing data to be replaced with alternative fictitious data whilst maintaining context. This is important where you still need to be able to work with meaningful data such as people or organizations. Let's take a quick look at substitution in more detail using the address book as an example. The address book contains a list of organizations, with each organization having a set of common fields such as trading name, address lines 1 to 4, postcode, telephone and so on. For substitution, we create a data object known as a dataset to represent the organization. Think of it as a database table. Inside the dataset, we create a number of fields to match those in our address book records. Think of these as columns in the table. Once the substitution dataset has been created, we fill it with rows of fictitious data. When obfuscation takes place, each address book record is replaced with a random row from the dataset. So let's take a look at it in action. Let's start by launching the obfuscation utility. The first step we take is to create a package. A package contains the connection details for the app server and database, along with all obfuscation settings that we will apply to that system. We can create and maintain multiple packages, allowing us to configure numerous environments such as development, test and training. To create a package, press the Create button and enter a descriptive name and an app server connection string. When we press Submit, the utility checks the connection string and returns the company name registered with the database and its license key. With the package created, the utility retrieves all compatible text-based fields from Visualfiles. These are a combination of system fields such as MT, EN and HS codes and user-defined fields from the screens that you have created. It presents the fields in the tree. Let's have a quick look at the entity-based fields. We can see all system EN fields and user-defined fields grouped by entity type, screen, and finally all fields per screen. The first stage of obfuscation is to build your substitution data, known as datasets. Let's build a dataset to use with the address book. The address book is a list of organisations, so we will create a dataset called Organisation. To create a dataset, we click on the Dataset tab and press the Create Dataset button. We enter a descriptive name and press Submit. An organisation has a number of attributes such as name, address lines 1 to 4, postcode, telephone and fax. We will create field labels in our dataset for each. To create a field label, we press the Create Label button, enter the name and press Submit. Now we have our datasets, we can start to enter replacement data. To enter data, select the Data Values tab, select the dataset from the drop-down list. In our example, we only have one, and press the Create Row button. A pop-out panel appears docked to the right edge of the screen with input fields for each of our data labels. Enter the data and press Submit. Repeat this process to add as many data rows as possible. There is an alternate method for creating datasets, data labels and replacement data. Using Microsoft Excel, create a spreadsheet with a worksheet for each dataset you require. Set the worksheet label to the name of your dataset. Across row 1 of the worksheet, enter the data labels and then in the rows below, enter your replacement data. To import your datasets into the obfuscation utility, select the Datasets tab and from the main menu bar, select Dataset, Load from Excel. Select your spreadsheet and select Open. The datasets will be created and data loaded. We are now ready to set up obfuscation. I start by setting all my data fields to mask with an asterisk character. To do this, I select the Field Selector tab, then select a data field, press the Amend Field Settings button, enable the Obfuscate this field tick box, select the Mask option and choose All. I then select Apply this change to all fields and press Submit. I then obfuscate my email fields to ensure they all contain a safe email address. I select an email field such as AB23 in the address book, press the Amend Field Settings button, ensure the Obfuscate this field tick box is set and that the method is set to fixed. I enter a safe email address into the fixed value and then choose to apply this setting to all field types of email. This copies the setting to all fields in the Visualfiles database that are categorized as email, such as system fields HS41 and HS42, and any user-defined field you have set with a category of email. Finally, I define substitute data for fields where I want to keep meaningful but fictitious data. For example, my address book. I select each field in turn and click the Amend Field Settings button. I select the substitute method and then the data set from the list, in this example, organizations. I then choose from my dataset a label that will contain relevant data for my current field. Here I select Name. I then choose to apply this setting to this field only and press Submit. I repeat this process for all my address book fields. Once all your settings are made, you can save your configuration to a file on disk, allowing you to reload and use again. To save your settings, select File and Save. Enter the name of your file and go ahead and save. We are now ready to run obfuscation. Before starting, you must ensure all users are out of the system you are working on. The utility will not allow you to proceed where one or more user is known to be logged in. To start the process, select Package and Obfuscate. A pop-out panel will dock to the right edge of the screen. You must read the sections in red carefully and tick the boxes to confirm you have completed the necessary actions. This will enable the login fields at the bottom of the panel where you must enter an administrator ID and a non-blank password. Once these are entered, the Continue button will enable. Press to proceed with obfuscation. If your Visualfiles system has a login banner defined, it will be displayed at this point. Press Yes to continue. The very final warning prompt will appear. Press Yes to continue and begin. So let's take a look at the changes made to Visualfiles. If I start by viewing the Finder, we can see that the identifiable data, such as file owner and description, have been masked with asterisks. If I open up a case, we can also see identifiable data on the file cover has similarly been masked. Navigating to the history screen, the description has been masked and the email fields HS41 and 42, representing email recipients and email sender, have been set to the fixed value of our safe email address. Finally, if I switch to the address book, we can see that all the items in the list have been replaced with the fictitious data originally defined in our spreadsheet. Before embarking on an obfuscation project, there are some important points to understand. The changes made by this utility cannot be reversed. If used on a production environment, the only means of recovering data is to return to a good backup. If you are using this utility, you must be familiar with the configuration of your app servers to be confident you are connecting to the correct database. This utility does not guarantee that it will identify and obfuscate all personal data. This is not a GDPR solution, but one utility to help in an overall GDPR project. The utility does not find and obfuscate data held in document content. And finally, the utility does not obfuscate data held in third-party software such as account systems. Thank you for watching. Further information can be found at lexisnexus-es.co.uk and search for obfuscation.